Speaker, the President of the United States.
This was President Donald Trump's moment to boast.
America is back. We have accomplished more in 43 days than most administrations accomplished in 4 years or 8 years, and we are just getting started.
He praised all the domestic actions he has taken so far on immigration.
And I deployed the U.S. military and Border Patrol to repel the invasion of our country.
And spending cuts.
We are draining the swamp. It's very simple. And the days of rule by unelected bureaucrats are over.
He spent a long time praising his close ally, the unelected tech billionaire Elon Musk.
Thank you, Elon. He's working very hard. He didn't need this. He didn't need this. Thank you very much.
Who he's appointed to reduce government spending and boost the US's space ambitions. In a key moment, Donald Trump reached out to Ukraine's President Zelensky after days of criticizing him.
Today I received an important letter from President Zelensky of Ukraine. The letter reads, Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer.
It's after Mr. Zelensky made a statement saying he wanted to move forward.
We've had serious discussions with Russia and have received strong signals that they are ready for peace. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Wouldn't that be beautiful?
Mr. Trump also repeated his trade war threat.
If you don't make your product in America, however, under the Trump administration, you will pay a tariff, and in some cases, a rather large one.
President Trump looks and sounds like he did in his first term, but this time he's more experienced and emboldened. This speech really underlines just the blitz of action he's taken since his return to the White House. He's really testing the boundaries of his power and creating confusion, leaving Democrats unsure how to react. Many of them brought signs. Some said nothing as he taunted them. One Democrat was kicked out after heckling. President Trump arrived here as polls suggest Americans are split on the start of his second term. He can't run again, giving him 4 years to deliver on those big, bold promises.
The golden age of America has only just begun.
Nomir Iqbal, BBC News, Washington.
So how have Republicans been reacting to President Trump's speech? That's a question I put to our Washington correspondent, Tom Bateman, who is on Capitol Hill assessing the reaction.
I think, the energy you saw there was telling of, as you say, publicly how the Republican Party has, completely transformed itself into the way in which it offers support to Mr. Trump and his agenda. And I thought it was particularly striking just the sort of how visually you could see how divided the Congress is, with the Republicans basically on their feet throughout this, and Democrats who are being chided by the president, stony-faced, silent, and Al Green, Democrat, getting escorted out by the sergeant-at-arms. To answer the question about Republicans, I think one of the most interesting moments was on tariffs, because there are very senior Republicans who are very concerned, seriously concerned about the long-term impact of these tariffs if they stay in place. Now, it's notable that although some of President Trump's most loyal backers were on their feet cheering in applause when he talked about continuing tariffs and even applying more when it comes to April, there were some that weren't giving such vociferous support. And I think behind the scenes, that concern will continue. We've heard some senior Republicans talk about their to explain this away basically as a negotiation strategy, a way of putting pressure on Canada and Mexico and others to try and get what President Trump wants in other areas, notably border security, as he puts it. But I think their hope is really that this won't continue to see a slide on the markets, that this won't continue to see the dollar losing value, and that this will be a sort of short-term negotiation strategy by the president.
Justin Trudeau is promising some massive retaliatory tariffs in response to the levies that were imposed this week, Tom. What did you make of his speech last night? I thought it was interesting that he spoke directly to the American people in a way that previous American leaders have spoken to people in autocratic countries.
Yeah, it was really interesting that, although he sort of praised the president saying you're a smart guy, but this is a dumb thing to do. I mean, it was an extremely striking statement, I thought, by Mr. Trudeau, who I think has basically been pushed into a corner on the way he feels he has to respond to this, because they sort of tried the diplomatic tack. He even made the point that they did a new deal with President Trump during his first term when it came to trade. And yet here they are again basically facing this very severe punitive measure in the form of a 25% tariff. So this is a strategy that world leaders take basically at their peril, which is to call out Mr. Trump, particularly to his own public. And look what happened to Volodymyr Zelensky last week when he tried to argue his corner in the Oval Office. He was humiliated by the Trump administration. He was called ungrateful and disrespectful. And look where that has left his country diplomatically, being arm-twisted, intense pressure by President Trump now to do what Mr. Trump wants. So, it was no surprise that I think shortly after Justin Trudeau's speech, we saw President Trump basically saying, well, there'll be more reciprocal tariffs on Canada. So far, it hasn't had the impact Mr. Trudeau wants, but I guess, his position would be he's left with little else to argue.